meeting. This event will be recorded, and it will be available on our YouTube channel at some point. But if you don't want to be recorded, you won't. Then you feel free to leave. So thanks to everyone for joining and on time. I'm Christine Ratcliffe, and I'm the fundraising and communications person for Bees Abroad. And I'm just going to do a short introduction before handing over to the Nigeria team for this event. So this event is called Slow Food, Slow Beekeeping. And in 2019, I believe, Bees Abroad formalized a working relationship with Slow Food in Nigeria. That relationship came about from a recognition of similar aims and working practices between the two organizations. So both aim to improve the livelihoods of communities and improve the local environment at the same time. Slow Food, as you might imagine, is a food production growing charity. And we do have a couple of representatives from Slow Food Nigeria here today, as well as Bees Abroad people. So this event is split into 3 sections with stories from communities across the 3 themes of Slow Food, but also Bees Abroad stories around biodiversity or diversity, education, and advocacy. So I'm just going to keep that introduction short and hand over to Bolu, who's one of our partnership managers for Nigeria.
Thank you, Christy, and I welcome everyone to today's event. Once again, remember, it's Slow Food, Slow Beekeeping, and I'm glad to welcome you to Nigeria. So I'm Boluwaji Jurogola. I'm one of the partnership managers for Nigeria for Bees Abroad. And to tell you, I'm also a beneficiary of Bees Abroad projects in Nigeria. I coordinate Bees Abroad Nigeria project with BC presently. Okay, let's go to slide 2. Yeah, Nigeria is a large and diverse country. It has the largest GDP of any country in Africa, and it is predicted to be among the world's top 10 economies in the next 30 years. As with many countries, Nigeria's rapid growth is also widening with inequality gap. Nearly 70% live in poverty, earning less than 140 naira per day. 140 naira is 11p, not 11 pounds, 11p per day. Yeah, going to agriculture, agriculture is strictly an important part of Nigerian economy. In fact, up to 1960, it was the main contributor to the GDP. Farming is dominated by smallholder farmers, with around 80% of farmers being smallholders, and same is true for beekeeping and beekeepers. Although specific numbers are hard to find, it is estimated that there are about 40,000 beekeepers in Nigeria presently. Just only few of the beekeepers are women. There is a statement from USAID Beekeeping on Pollination Project in Nigeria that was 2026. Nigeria can generate $10 billion. That's 8 billion pounds from local and international trade in honey and hive products. Women are the main drivers of small and medium scale agricultural production, though they have access to less land and less inputs, and also less agricultural services than men. Hence, they require a special attention. Yeah, this is one of the reasons why Bees Abroad prioritize working with women, youth, and the marginalized group. It's not just specific group that faces challenges in beekeeping, the whole sector faces challenges, I must tell you. As part of developing our country plan in Bees Abroad, we identified that the main issues are in apiculture, which are low income from apiculture due to low productivity, low demand from farmers due to lack of knowledge and benefits of pollination for crops. Also, limited access to markets related to quality and standard of products, as well as poor transportation and infrastructures. Well, Bees Abroad approach and training aim to direct and tackle these challenges. And this is one of the things we do every now and then with your donations to ensure that all these challenges are being tackled. Yeah, going further, in 2019, Bees Abroad formalized a working relationship with Slow Food International around collaborative working in Nigeria. The relationship came about from a recognition that both organizations work with the same communities and also shared same aims and principles. The relationship between Slow Food and Bees Abroad is unique to our work in Nigeria and is driven by communities and individuals we work with there. Today, we are so lucky enough to have Ben Olatilo, who is the Nigeria Slow Food Coordinator with us. I'm going to hand over to Ben now to talk a bit about Slow Food works with synergy with Bees Abroad. Yeah, Ben, you are welcome.
Thank you, brother. My name is Ben Olatilo, the Slow Food Coordinator, President of Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms, and Organic Certification Consultant, and Food Sovereignty Advocate. I'm going to introduce you to Slow Food Nigeria and the partnership with the Bees Abroad. Background: Slow food movement started in Italy back in 1986, when the first McDonald's in Italy was set up to open near the Spanish Steps in Rome. There were protests. One man, an Italian analyst named Carlo Petrini, decided that carrying science was futile, and so he planned a different way to get attention. Food movements are a way to combat status quo, allow producers and consumers to have a say in food production, improve sustainability, and ensure food justice for all. Hence, slow food movement has been a major food movement that gives back to food rights and seed sovereignty. Slow food now active in more than 160 countries. Slow food meaning. Slow food is a global movement of local groups and activists united by a common goal of ensuring everyone has access to good, clean, and fair food. Slow food is about protecting local food as well as food cultures and traditions. It's also about protecting biodiversity for its seasonal and range of flavors. It is about furthering relationship between farmers, chefs, and consumers. And it is about making and sharing meanings in our food consumption. The slow movement is based on 3 interconnected principles: principles of good, principle of clean, and principles of fair. These principles are the foundation of the movement philosophy and guide its actions and initiatives. Benefit of slow food movement to our communities. Eating locally helps preserve local and small-scale farmland, reducing the distance of food travels, cut down on unassociated fossil fuel consumption, air pollution, and greenhouse gas emission in face of climate change. Eating local doesn't just benefit your health and the farmers in your community. It also has a host of positive economic, social, and environmental effects. Slow food projects. There are various slow food projects in which good, clean, and fair food systems are promoted at grassroots level to involve local communities members, chefs, artisans, teachers, farmers, apiculturists, local chiefs, etc. Some of these projects are: 1, Act of Taste. Through this project, the local food crops at risk of extinctions are protected and also reinvented into the local community. Second, slow food convivia/communities. These are local groups of individuals who share slow food values. Third, Presidia. These are local food producers promoting the gastronomic value of their food crop. This grassroots initiative brings together farmers, fishers, food artisans who produce local food at risk of extinctions. Fourth, Cook Alliance. These are restaurateurs upholding the slow food philosophy in their kitchens, often through the use of Act of Taste or Presidia ingredients. Fifth, Gardens in Africa. In the year 2010, Slow Food launched 10,000 Gardens in Africa project initiatives, which involve local agronomists and communities in promoting agroecology farming practice in school, communities, and families. Sixth, the Indigenous Group. Slow Food exploit the development of networks that transcend geographical borders, with indigenous food communities from around the world coming together to lead efforts to preserve the traditional knowledge held by indigenous people and to promote food sovereignty. The 7th International Slow Food Congress in China marked the beginning of the radical renewal of this organization, with a focus on greater inclusivity and new forms of involvement and participation. Slow Food Convivia encouraged to become slow food communities by involving more community stakeholders. Slow Food Nigeria Network. I started Slow Food in Nigeria in year 2012 after I returned from a visit to South Korea, where I participated in slow food programs. With other team members, we created 77 slow food gardens in schools, communities, and in communities in 19 states in Nigeria. Several convivials was formed, which, as of today, metamorphosed into slow food communities. Since 2016, we have been participating in every slow food event at local, regional, and international level, including Tramadri event in Turin. In year 2020, Slow Food publishes a call to action, a strategic roadmap that systematizes our work, measuring and leveraging our impact to create a better world. To this end, the network activities unite around 3 pillars of actions. 1, to defend biological and cultural diversity. 2, to educate, mobilize, and inspire citizens. 3, to influence policies in public and private sector through advocacy. This also led to formation of thematic group in which the 11 focal persons come together to promote the 11 focal points of slow food. In bracket, advocacy, garden agroecology, indigenous people and cultural enhancement, slow food use network, Cook Alliance, education, processing local products, communication and media, slow fish, biodiversity, and fundraising. Bees Abroad and Slow Food Nigeria formalized a working relationship in 2019. Beekeeping communities that register with Slow Food in Nigeria commit to activities that promote beekeeping practices that are in line with Slow Food principles. One of the practices that Slow Food beekeeping communities commit to is to act as a central coordinator and resource center on information around sustainable beekeeping practices. This resource center provides information on conservation of the local environment, the advantages of bee pollination as natural way to increase crop yield, the dangers of inappropriate pesticide use, and benefits of quality honey. Bees Abroad and Slow Food Nigeria partnership has been a successful one. In 4 years since the formulation of the relationship, there have been some remarkable achievements. These achievements include the inclusion of slow food principles and sustainable beekeeping in local school curricula, securing a royal patron for the Abotokio slow food beekeeping community, working with local government to incorporate slow food ideology into the local economy well-being plan, and the registration of 8 new slow 8 new slow food beekeeping communities since 2019. As mentioned before, slow food has 3 priorities: diversity, including biodiversity, education, and advocacy. The next speaker will be giving examples from their communities, organizations, and businesses on these 3 priorities, starting with biodiversity and the Emerald Farm. And with that short introduction, I will hand over to Modupe. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Ben. I think Modupe isn't able to join us. So I'm going to play, she has pre-recorded her section. Everyone, all the other presenters are with us, so it's just this one 5-minute video. It is a really good quality video, so if you'll just bear with us. Thank you so much, Ben. It is amazing how much work Slow Food are doing. The range of projects is really incredible.
Thank you.
So just to Modupe's video.
Hi.
And I'm not sure that we can watch the video and look at the slides at the same time, but I think I will play her video as the preferred format. Okay. Hopefully this works. It did when we were testing it, but as all things, all these things, when it's the live event, things come up. Just going to try that again.
Hi, I'm Dr. Modupe, and I'm the co-director of MAMI Foundation. I am a retired medical doctor and now engaged in supporting our conservation project and any other similar project in the region. I work with my elder sister Dayo, who is also a retired medical doctor, and my younger brother Aki, who is still in active medical service. I'm going to tell you about the Emerald Forest Farm Reserve and how we're using organic farming and beekeeping to support the forest biodiversity and local communities. My siblings and I are directors of the 300-acre Emerald Forest Reserve, which was bought as a primary forest in 2004. Our parents were agriculturists, and we grew up in different agricultural settlements and dairy farms in the region. My brother also studied wildlife and forest conservation in South Africa and wanted to implement his ideas at home as the rate of deforestation was alarming. Our late mother loved the forest and named it Emerald Forest. We later set up a foundation called MAMI Foundation in memory of our mother. The idea was to use the foundation to run a range of activities that we can use to protect the forest. The forest in Nigeria is under threat. We have one of the highest rates of deforestation in the world. The Emerald Forest is near the city of Ibadan. In the 20 or so years since we established the reserve, we have seen the surrounding areas become barren. As with many other forest areas in the country, the forest is under pressure from deforestation, poaching, and unsustainable harvest of forest products. As I mentioned before, through the MAMI Foundation, we established a range of activities. These activities are designed to cover youth education, economic empowerment for the rural people, and protect the forest. One of the main aims of work is to raise awareness of the ecological sustainable use of natural resources. The forest and its natural resources are disappearing, but local communities are seeing little improvement to their quality of life. The dominant model is lose-lose. We want to provide education and conservation to increase sustainable community-based projects because they offer a win-win for the forest and its communities. The education and projects we support include things like preservation of traditional art and culture, food processing, and ecotourism. Two of our main activities are organic farming and beekeeping. The Emerald Forest is an agroforestry system. Within the forest, we have established small farms. These farms are located in areas of the forest that are less dense and grow mostly tree crops and perennials, things like citrus fruits, mangoes, and the African palm, better known to the Western audience as the oil palm. African palm is indigenous to Nigeria and an important part of our food heritage. In 2010, the Emerald Forest Reserve was officially accredited as an organic farmland by the Association of Organic Agricultural Practitioners of Nigeria, NOAN. In 2015, we introduced beekeeping to the Emerald Forest, and we noticed a significant increase to the yield of our crops. Selling the crops is an important revenue stream for the communities in the forest. So this boost to their produce was really fantastic to see. In 2020, the Slow Food International Executive officially recognized us as part of the Slow Food Network. With that in mind, I want to talk about our beekeeping activities and our forest honey. Bees are very important to the ecology of the rainforest. By pollinating flowers, they play an essential role in producing seeds for the growth of new plants and the food chain in the forest. Traditionally, in the wild, beehives are usually established in tree hollows and on branches. In 2014, we applied for the Bees Abroad Assistance to help establish beekeeping in the Emerald Forest. 6 months later, in July 2015, one of the Bees Abroad local trainers, Mr. Babatunde Orayemi, delivered the first of the beekeeping trainings. We invited anyone connected to the Emerald Forest.
Okay, I think that's the end of that video. Unfortunately, there is a longer section, but the video isn't working. There is a full blog story on the Emerald Forest on our website that I'd recommend looking at. And really wish she could have been here because she has a great story. But we'll keep going and hand over to Idris and Dr. Sakina. So I believe Idris is
Hi, I'm Idris. I'm the project director for the Beekeeping Extension Society in Nigeria, and also local partner of Bees Abroad, Northern Nigeria. I serve as beekeeping trainer and consultant in Ghana, Cameroon, Nigeria, Liberia, and South Sudan. I'm going to talk a bit about the work of the Beekeeping Extension Society and Bees Abroad in Nigeria in respect to beekeeping extension education for income generation. Despite Nigeria's numerous universities, education, and training, it's still not It has been estimated that around 66 million people, most especially youths, are illiterate. But learning beekeeping, this is not a barrier. The Beekeeping Extension Society and Bees Abroad have developed a stepped-down beekeeping curriculum for purpose of training and assimilations by local farmers who cannot read or write. The approach has increased and developed local farmers into understanding and adopting beekeeping and slow food learning and adoptions. In Nigeria, we have been keeping bees and harvesting honey for thousands of years through honey hunting and ancient traditional methods. that include clay pot and woven grass hives. But unfortunately, traditional beekeeping methods are unsustainable, with honey farmers cutting down or burning trees along with the hives. History of beekeeping in Nigeria. Modern beekeeping came to Nigeria in the early 50s when a British beekeeper, Mr. C.F. Jerson, was posted to Maigana village in Zaria of Kaduna State by the then British government. His assignment was to introduce and propagate modern beekeeping technology. Our aim is to assist farmers to improve beekeeping methods for increasing production efficiency and income, and to save the bees and the environment. The Beekeeping Extension Society and Bees Abroad have been working together since 2004, so nearly 20 years now. Together, we have supplied honey production equipment to over 400 beekeepers in over 20 communities in 5 northern states of Nigeria. Women and youths have not been left out in our projects, most especially with widows and the physically challenged. This can clearly be seen in our work with the Women Agricultural Development Forum, Sokoto State. The Women Agricultural Development Forum was set up by Dr. Sakina, and at this point, I will hand over to Dr. Sakina to talk about her work. Thank you.
Christine, we can't hear you. You are muted.
Thank you. Sorry, I was saying Dr. Sakina was with us at the beginning of the call, but I think she might have dropped off. But she also shared a video, which I will pull up. There's always internet problems wherever you are in the world. Okay. Apologies. Last time, the Nadupe's video, just refreshing the screen, seemed to start it. So I'll try that again. Things popping up on my screen now. I'll just try this once more. And if it doesn't work, then I do have her words, so I can read them on her behalf as a last resort.
To the above, I'm currently a senior lecturer at Sokoto State University with a doctoral degree in Hausa bias.
Nervous to skip it.
Hello,
Okay,
good evening to you all. I'm Dr. Sakina Adamu, sharing multiple family and health challenges with other fellow women. Despite the above, I'm currently a senior lecturer at Sokoto State University with a doctoral degree in Hausa bias, that is medicinal culture, and also a chairperson of Women Agricultural Development Forum. Understanding the situation of my society and women in particular, I feel heartrending because nowadays women are suffering in our society. Most of these women have children that they are left with suffering and running helter-skelter to see that they take good care of them. In terms of clothing, feeding, medication, and paying their school fees to let them acquire good education. In addition to this, most of these women are illiterate and unskilled and cannot take good care of themselves, let alone take good care of their children, because they come from poor families. As a result, some may engage themselves in different illegal acts, sending their children to hawk on the street or may end up begging. Most of the children from such family are out of school children due to the family's ministerious seats. Based on the above, I registered an organization, Women Agricultural Development Forum, that focuses on diverse widows and disabled women. For this category of women are facing challenges in our society. The aim of the organization is to empower women who are being trained to appreciate their potential and be exposed to petty and small-scale businesses from beekeeping. Also, there are ongoing efforts to link them to financial sources or material support to let them start off on income generation. In our bid towards supporting these women, we have been receiving support from Bees Abroad for 3 years, that is 2020, 2021, and 2022 respectively. The focus of my organization training in this on these women is on honey production and marketing. As part of the training, the women have been trained on the utilization of beeswax in making skincare creams for themselves and for income generation. Also, we have secured another assistance from one donor agency, which is 1% Development Fund UN, where they built a skill center for diverse widows and disabled women in the year 2021. After the successful completion of the Bees Abroad project, the organization keeps motivating women on the importance of beekeeping, honey production, and value-added products. Among these is the role of honey as a diet and medicine, where we are empowering women of all ages with the support they need to take charge of their health by providing valuable information, resources, and supportive community. With the support of Bees Abroad, I have grown my NGO and I want to keep growing it into a world-class organization. A lot of women are approaching the organization for beekeeping training and marketing strategies. This request has been on the increase in recent times. There is an urgent need to expand the training of women in beekeeping to increase honey production on one part and to provide economic survival opportunities for indigent women on the other. To achieve this noble goal, there is need to expand the honey and product sales to make money for the NGO and members of the group, with an increasing need to acquire more materials for beekeeping. Basic things such as suitable containers for the honey can be hard to come by in this part of rural Nigeria. As we come to the end of our Bees Abroad project, we need more support from NGOs to assist us so that we can have enough resources to maintain the ongoing project and continue empowering more women. Learning beekeeping requires protective gears and equipment for work. Also, the recipes for secondary product need to be provided. If our business runs excellently, we can generate enough resources to hold the training, give awareness, and support our members to sell on their own and make profits. We hereby request assistance that will keep the organization running for the good of our women and humanity. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, again, a shame Sakina couldn't be with us in person, but I hope that video gave you a good idea of the work she's doing and the amazing work advocating for the other women in her community. we're going to go on to the last section now, which is the last theme of slow food, which is advocacy, with Mr. Elijah Asade, who's the advocacy lead for slow food in Nigeria. So hopefully we still have Mr. Asade with us, and I'll hand over to him now.
Hi, I am Mr. Elijah Asade. I am the lead for advocacy, thematic for slow food Nigeria. A graduate of agricultural education, chairman and the coordinator, Federation of Beekeepers Association of Nigeria, Ogun State Chapter, and Fruit, Vegetables and Crop Pollinators Coalition, Ogun State, Nigeria, respectively. As the thematic leader on advocacy for the Slow Food Nigeria Network, I coordinate the slow food campaigns, trainings, and education to influence government and private sectors' agricultural programs and policies with the slow food philosophy towards good, clean, and faithful masses. I'm going to talk a bit about how we use beekeeping as an advocacy tool for slow food in Nigeria. I've been a beekeeper for many years. I learned beekeeping from my maternal grandfather using locally produced pot hives, K2 pot hive, commonly used among the K2 indigenous people in Nigeria. As well as my role as advocacy led for slow food, I'm the spokesperson for the Abotokio Agri-Village Farmers Association, which was established in 2006, though only formally registered in 2018. We apply for support from bees abroad to learn modern beekeeping and add beekeeping to our activities. Following the training in 2019, they declared and registered the association with the slow food movement as a slow food beekeeping community. The bees abroad approach to beekeeping is aligned with the principles of slow food. As beekeepers, we aim to produce high quality, unadulterated, and undenatured honey, and do so in a way that supports the local environment. As beekeepers, a healthy environment means healthy bees and good honey. Healthy bees means productive bees that help pollinate the crops in slow food gardens as well as our neighboring farms. As part of membership with slow food movements, we advocate for slow food principles and practices within the wider community with the government and private sector. We are working with the local economic development forum of Yewa North, Ogun State, Nigeria, to incorporate slow food ideologies to the economic well-being of Yewa North local government area of Ogun State. Currently, we'll be able to declare and register Yewa North Local Economic Development Garden, Ayetoro, which draws her members across the 11 wards of the local government area for equal representation and easy replication of slow food projects across the local government area, and for the diffusion of the slow food principles and practices in beekeeping, gardening, and many more. Presently, Yewa North Local Economic Development Garden is one of the approved projects to be executed by Bees Abroad, UK. The slow food approach is one that helps protect our food heritage and local environment. It is our ambition to have a slow food training center in Abotokio to cover beekeeping, livestock, crop production, fishery to promote slow food philosophy. We are currently exploring funding options with NGOs to make this a reality. We have now covered all 3 slow food teams in terms of biodiversity, advocacy, and education, and how they are being applied to beekeeping in Bees Abroad supported projects. I'm going to hand back over to Christine, who is going to talk a bit more about the wider campaign Bees Abroad are running on food, beekeeping, and social justice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elijah, and a huge thank you to all the speakers this evening. Some really impressive individuals we're working with in Nigeria, where that came from. Yeah, some really impressive individuals we're working with in Nigeria. I personally have found it really fascinating, the work that they're doing, and that collaboration between Bees Abroad and Slow Food on the theme of this campaign, which is food, beekeeping, and social justice. Beekeeping and food production go hand in hand. There's a great piece of research that we actually commissioned in India that said that certain food crops can increase by 200% when you keep bees. So it's a natural relationship between the two organizations. So I'm just going to talk a little bit more for like 1 or 2 minutes on the rest of the campaign, food, beekeeping, and social justice, and then we'll go to the Q&A section. So if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat, and BC, our partnership manager for Nigeria, will field those questions. As I said, this event is part of our campaign, and that campaign starts today and is running for 1 week. I know we have lots of people from all over the world, lots of people from Nigeria and the UK, so a bit of a mix of an event. And thank you to everyone who's joining that English isn't their first language and having to listen to me speaking English, and everyone else. So this event, we're fundraising, we're aiming to raise £5,000 to support communities like the ones we've heard from today in Nigeria, but also 3 other countries that we work in, so Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Uganda. So aiming to raise £5,000 in donation over the next week, that will be doubled by the big give to £10,000. So if you found this event insightful, interesting, perhaps you'd consider donating £5 if you think it was worth as much as a pint in the pub, or £15 if you think it was worth an evening out. Perhaps you're feeling generous and want to make a real difference to the communities like the ones we've heard from today. Your donation will be doubled. So if you were to donate £500, for example, it will be doubled to 1,000, which will make a huge difference to our projects. You can donate via the QR code on this slide or go to our website. There'll also be a post-event email with the details, so keep an eye out for that as well. So we're just going to go to the Q&A section, and then thank yous to everyone. So I'll hand over to BC for any questions.
Thank you, Christine. I believe this question is still with us. It's a question from Mr. Anthony Antonucci, and he was interested to find out about what other agricultural endeavours we are involved in Bees Abroad beekeeping projects. I think the
Oh, I think we've lost you, BC. Perhaps Mr. Shade, you can answer that question. If you're able to.
Hello?
Hi.
I can't get that question very well.
So I think BC was, the question was, what other agricultural activities are you involved in?
Okay, thank you very much. Based on the slow food ideology, we extend beyond beekeeping in order to protect the biodiversity. We are into agroecology, biodiversity conservation. As well, we promote gardening among women and youth. So as a result of this, we were able to have a kind of support from Ira Lee when I went to Italy in 2022 that we used to expedite action in executing women-based or women-focused capacity building training for vegetable gardening among the existing local communities, which we registered with the Slow Food International. So we go beyond beekeeping, we are into crop production. And based on what I have said before, we aim at expanding to livestock fishery and other aspects of the slow food network once we are able to have our Abotokio village, that is slow food village, has been put together in my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shade. Is BC back
Yeah.
with us?
Yes, I'm back. I'm so sorry about that. Absolutely typical technical failure. So there we are. But I'm on my phone. So thank you, Mr. Ashadu. I hope that answers the question from Mr. Antonucci. I don't know if you want to come back on that to ask a follow-up question, or did that answer your question?
That question to Anthony. Oh, he's giving a thumbs up.
Okay, brilliant. I just wanted to add to that actually, in that we have another interesting aspect of it's a sort of new trial of an extension activity in that one of the latest projects that Bees Abroad is funding in Nigeria is with the Excel group, and it's in an area where the deforestation is very marked across 5 communities in the region. So what we're going to try and aim to do with communities, as well as training them on beekeeping, is to plant trees, but these aren't just, average trees. These are trees that produce cash crops as well and are bee pollinated. So, cashew nuts. There are 3 or 4 different types, but that's another example of the dichotomy between the beekeeping activity driving other income generating and conservation activity, and for the benefit of conservation as well as farming and backyard gardens, as Mr. Ashado was explaining. So that's it. I see 3 more messages.
Abotokio, go on. I will tell them go through.
Is that a question?
I will tell them
I think that Mrs. Afuate. Who's holding her own conversation.
Okay.
Unfortunately, on the phone, I can't actually see.
Yeah, I think it was. I've just muted them.
Okay, great.
But the Excel beekeepers, so that blog will be coming out. That story will be coming out on our blog next week, and that's really interesting, as you said, that our beekeeping isn't just, it's not just beekeeping. It's connected to so many things, and the Excel beekeepers in particular have really taken it upon themselves to advocate for the environment via beekeeping. So that's a really interesting blog, and it's written by the Excel beekeepers. So keep an eye out for that.
Christine, I have a couple questions that popped up that kind of slipped by. We had one question about how popular is ultra processed food in Nigeria? Do people gravitate toward it for its cost, like they do in the UK, or is it not as readily available? What's the Nigerian stance on processed food?
Interesting question. Unfortunately, in addition to a lot of developing countries, there has been a push to introduce a lot of ultra-processed foods into the country through one method or another, even in rural communities. So one really popular one that's really taken hold is a kind of noodle called Indomie, which is high salt and not very good quality food. You also get different types of rice that have been chemically cleaned and processed. I think probably Mr. Ashade or maybe Bolu have specific recent experience about food production in the country might want to add to that as well. So I'll hand over to them.
What about sugars? You know, with the white sugars and processed sugars, is that becoming more involved in your food and the processed foods?
It depends where you are, in the sense that a generation prior, you know, my mother, for example, never had a cavity. The only sugar she had was really natural sugar. But unfortunately, in the cities and increasingly in rural areas, people do get access to refined sugars,
right?
Which is why honey is quite an important alternative, a better quality alternative. So I'll hand over to anyone who wants to add to that from Nigeria.
Yeah, if I may come in. If I may come in.
Please.
Yeah. Presently, with the harsh economic downtrend we're having in Nigeria, most especially in the northern part of Nigeria now, most people are going back to the natural sugarcane sugar, which is cheaper. The white sugar now cannot be afforded. It's not affordable by almost everybody.
I see.
Yeah. Also, in addition, I want to say a lot of people cannot even afford the conventional foods. So most people still keep to the traditional food, the natural sugar. However, maybe for the younger generations who are just in secondary school, post-secondary school, they seems to tend towards the high-rated sugar foods. But looking at it, I would say 70% of Nigeria still keep to the traditional food. Thank you.
Is there any sort of food labeling or accountability in the labeling of the food on shelves in stores?
Yes, there is. There's a lot, but it's mostly for the high class who have too much money to spend on that.
I think it depends. It depends on the source of the product, really. In a rural market where you're sourcing sort of local products, vegetables, that kind of thing, you normally buy from a regular producer. You are their customer, and you know roughly where their farm is, and that would have reasonably high traceability, as opposed to something you might buy in a supermarket or a shop somewhere. So it really depends. The traceability depends on the source.
Christine, we have a hand up over here.
Yes, I think that might be Apple, is it? Someone has the hand up.
I tried to get him in there, but it looks like I lost him.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any more questions in the chat?
No, but I have one personally. I'm kind of fascinated by honey hunters, and I'm wondering if there's any outreach to them and their effect that they're having on the organized beekeeping, and how's the relationship between traditional honey hunters and what we're trying to do with traditional hives and more of a cultured beekeeping.
Can you come with that again?
I'm just wondering what the relationship is like with traditional honey hunters versus our bees abroad endeavors?
Yeah, in most of the areas where we work now, there's good information that gets to the traditional honey hunters, and they are always ready to come in, get information from those particular communities where we have entered. And so traditional beekeepers are now more inclined to see if they can go into modern beekeeping. And then we we also try as much as possible to change their ways. If they cannot buy the hives, they cannot buy the suits, at least they can, most of them are able to buy smokers, and they begin from there.
Okay.
And when they sell the honey, they move to the next stage of making the bee suits.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Yes,
Thank you.
Also, in addition to that, I want to say that's one of the approach of bees abroad. We want to ensure that all these people who knows about bees are also given a bit of education around it, so that even if they are not involved in beekeeping, they will know what it entails to give good honey to the public. So we try to ensure that we educate the public, and as many as that can be engaged in the trainings, we ensure that we train them enough to be beekeepers.
Okay. Is there any issue with theft or anything like that? And if they come across some of these like bees abroad hives, is there problems with those being stolen or messed with?
Yes, there's a serious issue on stealing, vandalization, and so on.
Okay.
There is.
I think
Can I just come in? Sorry, there are a couple more questions coming in the chat. One is, are there any laws that govern hive ownership of the hive that are found by honey hunters? The short answer to that is no. It's local, cultural, and the apiary regulation is not as developed. Thankfully, actually, because there's less kind of modification or sort of uncontrolled bee breeding. We're very lucky to have quite natural bees and natural approaches, but that's more unregulated. There's also another question about what is the influence of stevia in the honey market. That's something that probably is going to increase with the prevalence, not just in Nigeria, but across the world, with fake honey. So I think, I can't remember the statistic, but it's something like there's more honey is attributed to China than there are beehives or something. So at the moment, well, I suppose that the full answer to that is we don't really know. But there is an issue about fake honey and adulterated honey, which is why we try and give the message to know your beekeeper and know where your honey comes from. This Adesina has quite rightly highlighted that there is the NABDAC registration, which covers local food security. So that is something that locally provides a modicum of regulation. Producers probably should be registered with NABDAC and have their producer number. So I can see other questions coming in. Nikki, perhaps you could lead us in. It's a bit tricky on the phone. There was one question about, is it possible to have hives on our crop farm? Most definitely. That is the whole point of beekeeping.
Okay, well, we did have a little bit of a question sort of about non-native food crops and animals in Nigeria, including bees, asking what is the best approach to better incorporate or even remove them? So it's basically an invasive species question. How are
Very
they?
good question, and it plays to the heart of the slow food philosophy and the way Bees Abroad works. We don't take anything in. We work with local indigenous bees and work with what is locally available, local resources. So that's very important. The old kind of beekeeping development approach where there were lots of large centralized projects. That old model where lots and lots of resources and bees were brought in, that is really discredited now. I mean, and that's what led to the Africanized bee problem in South America, that sort of genetic modification and bringing things in approach. So that's one of the ways in which Bees Abroad and slow food are very much aligned. I don't know if any of our Nigeria team want to add to that, so I'll go on mute.
I don't know if they want to add anything, but they can always circle back to that and add on. I just the last question I see here that we want to maybe touch on a little bit, but probably this is a whole nother presentation, is how are you guys being affected with climate change?
Big question.
From the point of beekeeping, there's a lot of bush burning, cutting down of large trees and shrubs. So one of our major aims is to educate the communities, the community leaders on the negative effects of that, and it has been drastically reduced from the work we've been doing in particular areas.
Okay. Anyone else got anything to add on that point?
Can I come also?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the side of the philosophy of slow food, which we shared similar objective with Bees Abroad, which is promoting biodiversity and working with locals and promoting local indigenous food crops. Yeah, generally in some area, especially on gardens and farm practice, giving of incentive like pesticides and synthetic material to the farmers by the government. And one is treated mosquito net is another issue, which can affect the climate change and this issue of climatic problem. So we, on our part from slow food is to promote the ideology of good, clean, and fair. Good means that whatever comes up, either from the bees, either from the farm practice, should be good, should be edible, should be good, should be healthy. And on the part of clean, it should be environmental friendly. So anything in form of chemicals should not be used. It should be organic. And the last stage is fairness. The spirit of fairness should be involved. You should have the concern of the consumer also in mind as a producer. So the environment should be environmental friendly, and it should be fair. So when you have this spirit in yourself, and when you have this culture and these principles, so it will give you a good product. So these are what we do and what has really helped the local community, especially while we are dealing with the small scale farmers. So this is the only way out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just on that as well, that we have another event this week with Tricia Marlowe, who's the partnership manager for Ghana. And on the question of climate change, she's been speaking to a lot of communities affected by climate change. So if you are interested in how climate change is affecting beekeeping, then you can sign up to that event, and that's at, you can get tickets via the campaign website, which is on the screen, beesabroad.org.uk/green match. So I'd recommend that event if you're interested in how climate change is affecting beekeeping. Are there any other questions? In the chat? I think we've had lots of some really interesting questions. Thanks so much for being so curious about our work and the work of Slow Food. But if there aren't any more questions, I think we could perhaps go to the thank yous. So obviously the first people to thank are all of the presenters. So everyone has put a huge amount of time and effort into this event, and as I said, personally, I found it really fascinating, and some really impressive individuals that I'm proud that, you know, to be part of via Bees Abroad. Also a huge thank you to those people who bought tickets with a donation. So we had quite a few people donate via Eventbrite for this event, which is great because Eventbrite is no longer free. So that covers the cost of running this event. And I think the last thing to say is just a reminder that on the rest of the campaign. So as I said, sign up to that next event that we have. It's also free. And keep an eye out for our stories, the one on Excel Beekeepers. And if you can go to the Big Give and donate, it will make a huge difference to us. Minimum donation is £1, which will get doubled to £2. But any donation, as I said, will be doubled. £25 turns into £50. And yeah, it's quite a good opportunity to double your money. So thank you in advance for considering that donation and enabling us to provide more support to communities. So yes, thank you so much for joining, and it was a really great event, and keep an eye out for that post-event email with more details.
Christina Nicky from the Nigeria team, thank you very much for organising this.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so thanks everyone for joining, and have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.